Hey y'all, I know I do not have to make this video and I probably shouldn't give this any more attention than I did, but as you know, this weekend was pretty eye-opening. There was a big old hit piece done on me that I still maintain. I was not in girl world for most of this. I will break down the Carl Sanctuary thing one more time for the dummies in the back so that I can get this done. Because there were a lot of lies that ran around, and I am going to thank Alex Glitter and that tragic guy that they call the bodega for showing me how insane these people are. Like 8 hours? You spent 8 hours on me, Hekate. Why? I don't know you. When I tried to give you a chance and you came upside my head because I did not want to just diss on FFG, who I will get to in this as well, because I'm not going to waste time on this, y'all. This is a coordinated attack, both by people who I knew had no life and are salivating at a gotcha because, oh, she's just too nice to people on YouTube. She can't be like that. And then a person who I respected who really blindsided me with how they truly felt about me instead of coming correct and just saying how you felt about me. So I'm going to unpack all of that. And then after this, I'm going to leave this shit alone. 8 fucking hours, though, to say I had a Tesla, but I'm a broke bitch. That I live in a shack, but I have nice floors. That you warned me, but you didn't because we didn't talk on that level, you crazy drunk bitch, about how these people are. So I'm going to tell you one thing that I've said from the beginning, because I've only been in Girl World for 11 months altogether. I don't hall monitor where people go. I don't police who people can enjoy in here because I don't care on that level. And I will get to why I feel that way down the line with this video. But honestly speaking, this all stems from the fact that I enjoy both the YouTube Underground Yaba and Sam Tefler's chats. And it's ridiculous. We are too old for this. But these people, they can't stand it. They have a beef with them, so everybody has to have a beef with them. They don't like them, so everybody doesn't like them. And I'm not saying I didn't see stuff that were back and forth back in the day before I was here. I'm just real enough to say I don't give a fuck what people did before I met them. But some of yous can't handle that. Some of yous don't believe that because you're used to the fake ass fuckery. You're used to people just putting up with you, I guess, and wearing a mask and then waiting for something to say, see, I always thought that about her. You're waiting for psychos like that Hakate person who wants to do 8 hour live streams in the hopes that me and her will get into a back and forth beef when she knows I have her blocked. And the only reason why I know you did an 8 hour fucking stream, you crazy bitch, is because I was sitting in those streams last night. One, while I was making dinner, since I no longer will be sitting in the stream that I used to enjoy. And the other, because they said go over to see more. And I went over to see more. And I was in, I laughed so hard. Because these motherfuckers out here saying that I have a Tesla. When anybody knows the reason why I locked my Twitter down 2 years ago and wasn't going to post on it again before I was asked to use it for campaigning purposes, that I can't stand Elon Musk. From his lies about trying to help the Flint community with the water crisis that they're still dealing with, not as heavily as before, but they're still going through it. To the lies to South Korean people when those children were trapped in that underwater cave, and he was like, I can make a machine to do that, and he didn't do it. I wouldn't give fucking Elon Musk company a fucking dime, which is why I'm not verified on Twitter, because I'm still calling that shit Twitter. No fucking way. But I want you to unpack the fact that these idiots, along with their forum friends, literally are telling people that I drive a Tesla or own a Tesla. Are you trying to mix me with fucking Boogie? I used to be big and I'm still fat, but I'm not Boogie big. I get it because I've not been in girl world long enough. I don't have the archival knowledge. I had to use the archival knowledge to keep my ass away from Chantel's ass. And I know there are people that feel a certain way about the trajectory of my channel, especially when there have been people who have been here longer, who have been doing it the way longer than I have, that didn't blow up as fast as I did. I didn't realize that it was going to be a kiss the ring situation, which makes me laugh. Because while you did give me a shout out after the heifer and her clown literally put my name out there, I didn't ask that of you. I didn't want you to believe that I was in your channel for that, and I still don't like that shit. I personally don't want to advertise. I made a faux pas in Smokey Steve and Marks that I felt was a faux pas, even though they told me that they didn't feel the same way, by talking about my book. I do not want people thinking I'm using their channel, even though you can't get away from people believing that because they're so used to that. And I was listening to you when I seen that crazy bitch who I had blocked, who does 8-hour lives about me, trying to get at you using me, and I shut that shit down because I thought you were a real one. The whole reason I got into even talking about the Heffa was because of that stream that I sat in on your channel before anybody even knew I had a channel, and she said that your mother's passing was your karma. That activated fight mode. So if you want me to give you credit for my channel, that's fine, because it was your archives that kept me away from Chantel. It was your group that made me laugh each evening and on weekends sometimes. You were the only ones that I felt that comfortable with for a while. That's why what you said in that comment that was sent to me, that you couldn't even reach out to say, hey, I think you're a fraud. I think you would do this to animals, which I didn't, is enough for me to sever ties with you. You couldn't even come correct to me. And that's how it just shattered the illusion I had that even though you had that past with people and your beefs with people, that you really did change in the last year or so because you got tired of people trying to drag you into bullshit. And if people think this is going to cause a beef between you and I hate to disappoint you, it's not. I now know how you feel about me, and now I know to stay the fuck away. That is it. Some of yous get jollies after creators fighting back and forth. My channel is always going to be about the things I'm interested in. I'm not interested in back and forth beefs with anybody. And when I say what I seen, what you put out there about me fucking hurt, it did. I'm honest enough to say that. But I'm also honest enough to say, you know what? Now that I know, I can close that door and move on. I do not want to divide people into factions. I understand because it's Girl World. I am going to still see people who are part of the group that I used to feel comfortable in. I don't hold that against y'all. I don't care. But when I get the feeling that you really believe that I was going to use your channel when you know I've never shown you that, ever, that's fucked up. And trust me, I had people warning me about you. I didn't care. I don't like when people try to tell me who I like and who I can kick it with on YouTube. And I will continue to say that. Because all of this shit stems from who I like and who I kick it with on YouTube. I don't give a fuck if you motherfuckers hate each other with a passion. That has nothing to do with me. And while Hecate, since you love me saying your name and since I know I'll probably get another fucking 10 or 8 hour stream out of this shit, wanted to try to give me advice about saying stuff first, let's get it right. I called out their actions. These people used a 4-year-old's story that shouldn't have been put on the internet in the first place as a gotcha to try to take down channels because that's all they have. They got their channels yeeted from their own actions and they're bitter bitches. And all they want to do is destroy Girl World. Oh, I hate Girl World. Nobody's forcing you to watch Girl World. You hate that people made Girl World successful for themselves. Get it right. And you bitter bitches sit there talking shit about people and channels that barely anybody watches, and now you think that you're going to collectively go together and zap people's channels. Good luck with that. Because people are tired of the factions. People are tired of having to be judged because they want to sit in people's channels, whether they find them interesting or just being nosy. All of you fucking pocket watchers and hall monitors are sickening. But let's show you. Because once again, I shouldn't have to answer to this. It was way before I was even in Girl World. I didn't know any of you fuckers, and I still don't want to know you fuckers. You have the Carl's Animal Home and Sanctuary. The last donation was 2 years ago. I need to remind you, I wasn't in Girl World till 11 months ago. When Greg's grandfather bought this place, he had big plans and he did big things out of his own pocket and he got over his head. When his parents tried to take over once he started getting sick, they realized they couldn't handle it anymore. So the horse that was here got put on another person's place. I don't know. I wasn't there for it. The cats and other things, they were rehomed. I don't know where. Wasn't my business. The only thing I'm guilty of is using my platform to try to help them out. And if I got to be slandered for it, I'll take it, because I do not regret helping out family, because these people are my family now. It doesn't matter what you think of me. It is sick the way you try to twist things. You tried to say I took advantage of an old man that I didn't even know, that wouldn't even know me in the state he was in by the time I got up here. Okay, believe that. I can't convince people who were already waiting for something bad to believe about me that I didn't do that. But I'm telling you, the people that are pushing it the most, they probably have those kind of skeletons in their closet, while I'm an open book. I tried to help people that I cared about because I was dating their son at the time. I am now his wife, and I would help them again if I needed to. That is just how it is. Moving on from an NPD parent, which anybody knows, in 2019, I was going through it. My mom was living with me in a rental place in Saginaw. See, they like to sprinkle nuggets of actual facts about my life with their lies to convince you. I never hid that I lived in Saginaw with my mom. I had a relative, her sister, say, the only way I am going to take her out of your house and move her into my place back down south is for me to have cash in hand. So I asked for help, and I got that cash in hand, put it in my auntie's hands, and got rid of somebody who, for most of my life, made me feel both insecure, hated, while putting on a mask for people and pretending like, oh, I love being a mom. I'm not trying to put all my family's bad business out there, but that came from a large, stoic family. And there was hard navigation on truth. That's why I was grateful for my grandmother, because she taught me early on that lies take too much fucking energy. Just come correct even if people don't like you for it. Whereas my mom was not like that. She was my first bully, and I put up with a lot with her. And 2019 was my fucking breaking point, because I was tired. And I was seeing where she was moving on to my son as her next target and victim for her stuff. And I couldn't do it anymore. What she did to me and my sisters was enough. It is why I started those unhealthy patterns with food and cope eating and impulsivities and fighting. Because it was my escape. This is a reality for me. This is why it's easy for me to call out Chantel's fuck shit the way I do. Point blank, when you've lived that life, even though I had the buffer and balance of my grandparents, you do develop ways to survive. And then throw in what happened to me as a teenager. Yeah, I leaned into food and I ballooned. And it wasn't even at my worst point, because that happened after I moved to Florida. I was with a relative. I was supposed to be going to college. That didn't pan out at the time. That came further along the line. But I was, what I thought, rescued from that situation by a partner who was way older than me. And I had the delusions that he would save me from the situation I was in. And he didn't. The only good that came out of that was my son. Was the partner, husband, for those that get in their feels about me calling him my partner, because I was able to be myself with him. He knows everything I went through back then, and it's still not easy to talk about. That's the reason why I get mad at Chantel, trying to pretend that she was any kind of victim when she was just as emotionally and all kinds of manipulative and dangerous in that relationship with the Canadian crack demon. What I said was true. When I first heard that Sam's Bar Lounge video, which made me flinch and made me cringe because it just brought back visceral memories of shit, I thought, if that was Chantel, why are people picking on her? And it was Frenchie's archive. It was her being shown to mock somebody who went through DV. Even after that person reached out to you tenderly to try to steer you away from something that could be bad, and you mock that. That made me feel that, no, I can't believe your story, Chantal. Because even if I don't care for a person, I don't use stuff like that against them. That is disgusting. That is a low that shows your psychopathy versus my sociopathy. My shit is diagnosed, because that was another lie that was running around. But I need to get to the fact that these people think I'm wealthy, which I'm not, but I'm broke. Think I'm this, which they don't know me, but they can pick apart things that I've actually put on the internet, don't delete, and stand by because at the time I felt I was doing the right thing and I needed to get out of stuff. That asking for your help that was 8 years ago, let me see if I remember what that was about because it wasn't weight surgery or any surgery that people were bringing up. I believe it was for a trip. And when I realized that it was a faux pas, and it was brought to me that it was a faux pas, a friend of mine from Australia gave me the amount as a loan to get me on that trip, and then I paid her back. That same friend came to visit me in North Carolina when she visited the States. So it's funny the way these people who don't got it like that, and whether you think I'm bragging about it or not, I don't care at this point, are mad at me and think because I associate with the YouTube Underground and with Samantha that I would be an easy target when I know I've never put on there that I was a good person. Ever. One of the things that I wanted to bring up in this video, along with explaining sociopathy, which I'll get to, is I've had a rough past. And it wasn't all my doing, but I got into trouble. I'm glad I'm a Gen X kid. A lot of the shit that I did, I got away with it because there were no cameras. There were no TikToks. There were no YouTubes back then. So I don't judge people on shit they did before I know them. I'd rather let people show me who they are before I make judgment. And a lot of yous are mad that I got to see who you are from video clips, from the way you keep making these lawsuits and these back and forth beefs. And I figured I'm not going to kick it with you. I'm just going to put you in the block bin. And especially those of you who ran with that awful story as a gotcha. But you think you can judge me because I can ask for help from a following that had nothing to do with Girl World and get it? Okay. But your bitter jealousy is showing at that point. But let's get two things straight. There was no animals exploited. And the only two animals left over from what was done on here is Max and Miss Kitty, who we still take care of, along with my cat Callie. We don't have horses on here no more, even though we still have the barn. We're thinking about knocking it down, but the cats like it, especially during the winter, so I think we should leave it up. I don't understand why people want to twist things, but I have never in my life abused the elder. I take deep offense to anybody trying to push that narrative, but what can I say to people who already want to be convinced of my bad character? It's a lie, and that is all I'm going to say about that. But I thought it was funny last night watching a portion, because nobody's going to sit through a fucking 8-hour stream, you weirdo, of you saying that because I started with these people for calling out what they did, that they deserve a right to pick into my life and make up shit about me. And that's what the fuck is wrong with you. Because you would run with a lie based on your feels because somebody said something about you than to come correct. And that's why I don't fuck with you or anybody you associate with openly like that. Because you're willing to use lies to try to destroy channels because you can't hold stuff on your own personality. There, I said that. And you're jealous of other channels who have created communities where we have fun. That's the thing that I don't think people understand about me. I don't know most of these channel creators on a personal level, but I know I can sit in their channels and laugh and be a little Miss Jenkins and chuck it up and talk to people who are regulars in their chat. That's all this was supposed to be. But some of you bitches take things so personally because somebody don't like somebody or somebody don't like this or they have bad blood, so I have to make myself a part of it. And it's like, you know what? No. I can call out actions without it being more personal than that. But you know, I'm glad for this weekend because it taught me a lot of things. It taught me that I'm still going to come correct, but I am surrounded by a lot of people who like to smile and think one thing, who can't say, hey, we just don't want you around because they're afraid that it'll look bad on them. Let me tell you this much. If you had even emailed me and said, you know what, I really don't care for you to be in my channel, I would have went away quietly. People would have asked and were like, you know what, I'm just too busy for it. But you couldn't even give me that courtesy. You had to put in a comment section that you believed that I would do that. And that is what's fucked up about you. because you're not a real one to me anymore. And I can close that door. And even if it loses me subs because you want to hall monitor who talks to who, I can't be like that. I don't want anybody who feels a certain way about me, whether they like me or not, to ever treat you like that, because I do know that I have fun in your channel. I do know that I enjoyed just talking shit about Chantel with all of you. But I would never be able to sit in there again knowing that you all believe that about me. And that's a little victory for the Griff Gang now. You have taken something that I enjoyed during the evenings most times away. But it's okay because it frees up time to do other stuff. But when I say to you that I don't have animosity towards you, I am not going to turn my channel into Let's Attack Frenchie. I don't care on that level. I would just like to think that somebody who is accused of hating stuff herself, who knows it's not true, who doesn't really have to use the support of her channel to know that's not true, would give me the same courtesy, but, it is what it is. I guess I was supposed to kiss the ring. So I need to remind people that the last funder that I did in January was before my channel popped up. I had 793 at my best by then. And I was sitting in the 600s for the longest time because a few people from Twitter did come over for the re-uploads of my Bonnet Chronicles that I do on Twitch. I was not fully invested in Girl World like that. I was just doing those calling out the Heffa videos, which barely got any views. It wasn't until March of this year when Chantel, egged on by her sometimes bestie, called me out. And yes, your channel gave me one big shout out. I don't know if you did more than that. I didn't want you to do more than that because I knew people were going to accuse me of using your channel. And then you accused me of using your channel. And all I can say to that is, bitch, where? I'm still getting people who say, I didn't know you had a channel. Because I did not want to do that. I don't like misstepping. And I don't want these creators who are still bigger than my channel thinking I only enjoy them for the potential of spotlight and the channel that I only do Girl World once a week. And most of the time it's me doing my own thing, whether it's the fit bongs or whether it's my re-uploads of the Twitch stuff. I don't think I'm owed anything from any of you, and I just wanted to enjoy your content. But now I see that you are so jaded by the fake stuff and that you can't understand that people can go around just listening to other creators and it's nothing personal about it. I don't talk shit. I tell people stuff. I don't have to be in little fucking group things to expose people because I don't want to know y'all on that level. I don't even do fucking Discord right. Because I thought just joining meant I would get updates from stuff like I do with Penguin OZ Charlie. And that's the only Charlie I follow on here before people start running with that narrative too. I respect Charlie Gold for her weight loss and the back and forth beef, but I heard enough about that shit too with her and other reaction shows the way I wanted to keep my distance because I don't want to be accused of social climbing on this. The only other big Girl World creator I followed before this, there's actually two. Alex is shook because Girl Talk just made me smile. And I believe that was last year too. But before him, it was Zachary Michaels because I liked the way he covered Amberlynn's grocery hauls. And I didn't talk in his channel because I didn't really know anybody in his channel. And by the time I watched most of those videos, it would feel weird. And it was like that for a lot of Girl World creators, and it still is. I can't keep up. There are a lot of you fuckers in the sphere. I just think it's crazy that because of so many people who did do that, I got to be accused of that when I've never shown that. I don't even know what to say to it anymore. All I can do is keep proving that it's not true. I wasn't in Girl World long enough. My channel didn't even blow up till 6 months ago due to that heifer getting her time out. And I still feel a certain way when people ask me to drop the link to things because I know that's how the mindset is. Oh, there she goes, trying to use people. I don't. But I'm not here to try to convince people, and I'm going to get to why right now. Because that was running around too. What you see here is a list. And it's probably the checklist that my psychiatrist used to fully diagnose a lot of my issues. And once I say this so that you can understand whether you want to continue to pass judgment on me, I'm going to let it alone because I know what I was told. I have schizoaffective disorder, which was upgraded from the schizophrenia that I was diagnosed with in 2003 when I was in Florida. Those were bad times for me. I'm not even going to shy away from it. Those were bad times for me. But when you're honest with a psychiatrist, they do use these checklists. And believe me, I was fucking scared when she told me I checked a lot of the boxes on the sociopath tendencies because I didn't know what it meant. But I actually educated myself to it, which a lot of people don't do everywhere on the internet. You got a lot of people declaring themselves something. But when you get that diagnosis and you work towards it, yes, you can openly talk about it without shame because there is no shame in having mental illness. A lot of creative people have mental illness. That is just the way it is. My mind does not work on the same level as different people. That's just the way I am. But my psychiatrist had this checklist. So I'm going to go over this checklist and why I can clearly say I was diagnosed with sociopathy. The first thing is glibness and superficial charm. I can cut it up anywhere I go because I like to listen to people and I like to make them feel heard and seen. It's not manipulative to me. It's just how I am. If I hear a person talking, even if I don't fully understand what they're talking about, I know that people get happy when they feel seen and heard. And I've always been like that as a child. I had to hear, oh, you're just a people pleaser. No, it was a way to protect myself from the person who was in everybody's face saying how she loved being a mom, but telling me I ruined her life and other things. So yes, I developed a natural way about me to where if a person's talking to me, I want them to feel seen and heard. I don't think my charm is superficial because I don't think I'm a charming person. That's up for other people to judge. I might be sociable online because I just see screen names. I don't really know people on that personal level, but I don't consider myself that outgoing in real life. I have a very small group of real life friends who I cherish because they don't expect a lot out of me. We call each other every once in a while. We go out every once in a while now that I'm feeling a bit more comfortable doing it. But it's nothing more than that. And we like that because we're all in our 40s and we don't really have time to be in each other's business like that. It is what it is. A grandiose sense of self-worth. Now, I don't know if she checkmarked that because when I started going to her, I was talking about being a writer and what I could possibly get out of it. And I do have a very flamboyant personality when I talk about what I love. So I think I scored around the middle of that. Need for stimulation. I do not like being bored. I like laughing. That's why I gravitated towards certain reaction channels. They stimulate my mind. They get me thinking. They get me laughing. They get me feeling good. I love having stimulating talks. And I don't judge people on shit that has nothing to do with me. Who has a beef with who is only interested in me to see who's saying what about each other. I don't have a dime in that quarter, so I don't normally get involved. I just sit back and laugh. But you people seem to think that I'm out here fucking hunting you down. I'm not. I don't give a fuck about any of you. And I'm just honest enough to say it. Pathological lying. I scored low. She told me I scored low on that because I was raised differently. In fact, she's using me to study the difference between sociopath in a black-run household versus other cultural households that are more manipulative, that do feel to mask up. And I told her about how my grandmother drilled in me that lying takes more energy and that even if people don't like your truth, they ain't meant to be around you. So I don't know what to say about those who think I'm lying about the animal stuff. I can't convince you otherwise. Because honestly speaking, I didn't run that shit. I thought maybe we could do that, but I would much prefer to use the land to house humans who need homes. That is my hope for the future. But it's not going to come overnight because I do not have the funds for that. And no, I'm not crowdfunding for them. Cunning and manipulative. And I will give you, because I told this story of how I got my now partner. I can be cunning and manipulative. I used another situation that I was not fully invested in because I found the person boring. He was a married guy who lived in Canada who thought I would become his side chick. And I went to go visit him in Canada, met his family, realized this shit ain't for me. The commune that we wanted to create over there was never going to happen. And when I told him that I felt like you wasted my time with the commune talk, he blocked me. There was no shame to my game because back then I was feeling lonely. The man that I had wanted to be with, that was my best friend at that point, who I didn't hide any part of myself. He seen every side of me and still wanted to be around as a friend. But I knew there was something more, and we were both afraid back then to date because if we broke up, we wouldn't just be losing a girlfriend, boyfriend. We would actually be losing our friend. That he could be his unapologetic self around me. I could be my unapologetic, crazy ass self around him. We just clicked, and we came from completely different backgrounds. The only similarities is I was raised in the church before I walked away at 18, and he's still a devout Christian. That's the only similarities that my husband and I have. And still, we found camaraderie with each other. But I did manipulate the situation. I had him thinking that I was going to leave the country and that I was into somebody else. And he asked me out. And I'm grateful to that because I took something that was bad, that was never going to happen, and I turned it into something good, which is my current relationship, which I feel is going to be my relationship for life because we love each other. And I don't care what anybody thinks about that. I love this man. He loves me. And it's a love that I know isn't like normal people because I do know that in my brain, I find my husband interesting. And if I ever got to the point where it got bored, I have to warn him up front because that is how I think. Lack of remorse or guilt. I scored in the middle of that because I can show people that sadness gets to me. I can cry, but I don't feel it on a deeper level than that. I have what's known as a light switch when it comes to that. I can flip it on if I feel it's necessary, but most days I'm just flat with everything I hear. I tell people what they want to hear because I know it feels good to them, but I'm not really truly feeling things on that level. I'm just honest enough to say that because I want to take away the stigmas of mental health. A shallow effect. I don't think I'm shallow. I honestly don't. I don't know where I scored on that because I do not let people close enough to me to behave shallowly. I don't think of myself as a better person because I know I'm not. I am probably the hardest on myself in my life. But there are some sociopaths that are very shallow. They're only skin deep. They only want to know people who are flashy and out there. I like listening to people and getting that deeper part of their personality. That is what I gravitate to more than anything else. Whether they're good, bad, or in between, if I find you interesting, I gravitate towards that. Parasitic lifestyle. That is when somebody leeches on to somebody else to survive. And while I was in a really bad situation in Florida, I do realize that I latched on to him to get myself out of a bad situation. And my karma for that was to get into a worse situation. It's a horrible lesson that you have to learn. You can't use people to get out of a bad way, especially when you don't know them. I barely knew that man. I found out that he was almost 2 decades older than me after the fact. And once I was in, I was trapped for 9 fucking years. I like to round it up to 10 years, but it was actually 9 years of just horribleness. And like I said, the only good thing that came out of it was Kiddo and my current relationship because he became somebody I could just vent to and talk to about everything. And I still don't want to put everything out there because I feel shame. I feel shame for what was done to me because I should have been smarter than that. And those of you who have been in that situation can understand that embarrassment. Because I used to be a fucking fighter. I used to fight anybody that pushed me or anybody that pushed my friends. But I still put myself in a situation with somebody that willingly hurt me. And I felt shame for that. And that is real. Poor behavioral controls, which goes back to my childhood. I would take everything that went on in my house, whether it was screaming, fighting, being blamed for shit, being hit for no reason, to the playground and beyond. I remember my first fight. I remember my first bully. She wanted to do things with me that I was not comfortable with, and I got sick and tired of it. And that is when I learned the lifelong lesson that if you fight a bully back, whether it's with your fist or whether it's like I'm doing with this video because words seem to hurt people, they tend to back off normally if they know what's good for them. And she wasn't the last bully that I had to fight, but I made it clear that I would fight a bully if I had to. But what I'm not going to do is turn my channel into calling these fuckers out because that's what they want. Promiscuous sexual behavior could have been me. I'm not saying that I didn't flirt back when I was younger. I'm not saying that I didn't have that idea. But after my attack at 14, not only did it give me a warped sense of body view because it had been after I had lost a ton of weight and I was feeling myself, but it was also after trusting the group I was with for it not to happen, and then it happened. And it fucking scarred me. And now, to even be intimate with somebody, I have to trust them fully. I can't just throw myself at anybody because I get scared. And if you haven't been through that, you can never understand what that's like. But I can also see a path where if that hadn't happened to me, I might have been more promiscuous. And this is the stuff when you are open with a licensed professional, you can be open about. Early behavior problems. One of the things that I talked about in not only the mental health blog but my early Bonnet Chronicles was because I was such a good student on paper with the grades and stuff, I did get away with lashing out, with taking things to 100, and with fighting. It got to the point where a guidance counselor told my family that I had these issues, but they didn't believe in mental health issues in my family. And I had one side, my paternal side, saying we could just play it away because they were the churchies. And then the military side thinking we could just discipline it out. We're not going to accept that you have anything wrong with you. I didn't accept that I had anything wrong with me until my nervous breakdown in my late 20s. And then I had to accept the fact that the voices that I heard weren't imaginary friends. That my moods and my behaviors was a deeper rooted issue. I'm willing to be upfront and out there with this because there is such a stigma with mental health. And people think that mentally ill people are only the ones you see mumbling to themselves on the street or on the subways and stuff. That they're easily manipulated. And they can be if they don't have a support system or help. So that's why I put myself out there to show that once you get this, even if you show the signs, because like I said, when I go into a manic low, I'm not online. I take a break from it because I don't want to show those negative sides. I keep my shit together because I know there are days where a low hits and I don't want to deal with fuck all. I try to show the real because there are so many, especially amongst the girls, who show the fake superficial and try to use that to excuse bad behavior. And you cannot show mental health like that because it does so many people who are just trying to live their lives with this dirty. Lack of realistic goals. I don't have that. I am a very goal-driven person. When I want something, I go after it unapologetically. I stopped letting the naysayers who said I can't keep me down. I'm going to hit all the goals I want. I said I wanted to be a published author. I am, and with another book coming out. And that is why I've been so fucking busy. But I love that they coordinated this after I put out there that I was going to be busy with this and the webcomic launch. I wanted to be a homeowner before I hit 50, which is in 3 more years. Technically a little bit under 3 more years. And I did that. Whether people want to speculate on how, I know what I'm paying to stay here. I know what I'm paying to get this place paid off so that it can officially be ours. So I don't care that people think that I did something dirty But I'm going to say it again. I don't exploit animals and I don't abuse elders. And I think it's sick that that was put out on my name. I'm a very goal driven person. And I am a very upfront, in your face person. And I know some of you aren't used to that. But if you're going to stick around my channel, I suggest you do get used to that. Because I don't have a reason to lie or manipulate people like that. I just don't care on that level. Impulsivity. I'm guilty as fuck of that. Whether it is spending too much money on things like super chatting people or playing a lotto ticket here or there or just doing things for people because I care. Because they say, hey, I need this and I don't know where else to go. I am a very impulsive person. I used to shop like crazy when I lived in the South. I had to stop that shit. You can see from our geek den that I'm not afraid to spend on action figures and shit. But what I don't do is buy Teslas. What the fuck am I going to do with $100,000 fucking car? And I think that's the low end. No, I don't think so. That's weird. Failure to accept responsibility is another thing she said she did not see in me, and I'm glad because I own my shit. I will talk openly about anything I've done because I can't get away from it. I like taking responsibility because it takes the power out of those who want to use your past against you. Hands. Point blank, period. Many short-term relationships. After my teenage years, having a solid relationship was hard because I'm a very volatile person when I'm moody. I admit it. I have chilled out a lot in my older age, and now that I'm in a stable relationship, but there's no shame to my game. I can be very fucking moody. I don't hide that side of myself from my partner. But people before him, with the exception of the ex that I fathered their kiddo with, it was hard for me. The same thing over and over. We can't read you. You wear this flat face. Why don't you smile more? What are you thinking? I never know what you're thinking. And it got exhausting. I hate that I can't just be me, whether I'm not smiling or whether I'm not feeling things or whether I'm in my head, because in my head's louder. And so it was harder, especially when I was younger, to maintain actual relationships. Because that's the real one too. Juvenile delinquency, I explained it before and I'll explain it again. I liked fighting back then. I wasn't a starter of fights, but I loved to finish them. And the lashing out at people was a way to channel the hurt that I felt. I'm no angel. I never pretended to be. I don't know what 19 is. Revocation of conditional release. I don't know if that means I hold stuff over people's head to break up, so I don't know. I don't think I've engaged in that. Only the psychiatrist could tell me, and I'm not putting their business out there either because some of you are psychopaths. Criminal versatility, which I've joked about. I've talked about the daddy-daughter things that I used to do with my father when I was younger. Rest his soul, I'm not putting bad things out on his name, but I learned a thing or two under him. I don't use them anymore, but I got into things. That's why I said I was grateful to be young during the time there was no real computers, social media, or any of that shit. The only people that could potentially have stories about me ran with me back then. That is what it is. You know, I had a fun pack of friends in New York City, and I don't regret any of those days. But I'm not that person now, and that's why I don't judge people on their fucking past. I'd rather let people show me who they are. But at the end of this, what I know, based on what I've been diagnosed with and where I'm at now, is that I'm in a good place. And I want people to see that I'm in a good place, in spite of having these serious mental health issues, in spite of having to navigate phony people who made me feel comfortable, and now I know they never really felt that way about me. I still appreciate the time I did spend with that group, but now it's over, and now the door is closed, and I gotta move on. But to all of you who thought this was gonna become a back and forth beef, to all of you who think I'm going to turn my channel into calling out the people who are literally spreading lies on me, I need to once again remind you that that's not going to happen. I said it before, and I don't care if it felt antagonistic to some of you. Even if my channel got back down to under 1,000, to where it was only my true ride or die friends who know me off of this place, I would still do what I do because I feel passionate about what I do. And I think that's why people watch the Fit Bungs. People watch the Saturday Bonnet Lives and other things that I put up on this app because they know when I'm talking about this stuff, I come with not only is this something I find interesting, but you might find it too. But I'm not bored with what I'm talking about. And I'm very blunt and direct. If I don't like you, you know. And if I do like you, you know. But I can see now that there are a lot of people who aren't like that. And all it's teaching me is to just navigate this space a bit more carefully. I already felt the need to distance myself from the channels I liked because I did not want them feeling any sort of ways about this. But I did not lie to anybody in Girl World. I'm not going to lie to anybody in Girl World, and I'm not going anywhere. And I just wanted to put this out there so that you can get to know that I've never claimed to be a good person, but I am not any of the things that dropped this last week and weekend. But if you want to feel that way about me, just let me know by not associating with me. Because that is easier for me to process than people who want to act friendly one moment and then really believe the literal worst about me and use this lie as a gotcha and a way to distance yourself. Just come correct. I prefer a real, honest, blunt person to all this fake ass fuckery. And that is all I'm going to say about this situation. If you come at me asking me about how I feel about Frenchie, I'm going to refer this video. If you ask me about any of those other dopes, I'm going to refer this video because I don't watch the other people's stuff. And now I'm not going to feel comfortable watching her stuff because it did hurt knowing that she felt that way, but never gave me the indication that she felt that way. But at the end of the day, it's good to know. That's what I tell everybody. It's better to know than to sit up there like a dummy thinking, oh, these people are fun to hang out with, and knowing that they felt that way. So that's all I got to say about this. I really hope that by watching this video, you get to know a little bit more about mental health, a little bit more about this hit thing because they thought I was a weak person because of my mental health. And maybe 10 or 15 years ago, you might have gotten a more ratchet response, a more out-of-pocket response, a more emotional response. But when I know you're coming at me with lies, when I know you're coming at me with a crafted narrative, which you've done to other creators, when you are trying to pit creators against each other because you do that shit, I don't have to play by those rules. And to all of those content creators who want to hall monitor and gatekeep where other people go, I don't play by those rules either. So if that's the reason you don't like me, have at it. This shit is getting dumb. Most of us are too old for this. And most of us don't want to have to walk on eggshells because of who we enjoy on YouTube. So if you feel like I'm calling you out, as we say in our communities, only hit dogs holler. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all for watching this. Thank you to the groups that don't mind me sitting around. Thank you to the people who don't mind that I can't always leave a comment, but I will leave a like and a view. I try to support people any way I can, but I got shit going on. And I know that's hard for some people to believe because some of your faves don't. In regards to the Grift Gang, and yes, I'm calling you the Grift Gang, even though you want to call me that back. There's a difference between open crowdfunding that is clearly visible, that I haven't deleted, and the shit you do. And now that you're lying on stuff that I apparently own, which I don't know what else to say to you except stay mad, bitches. But I'm going to wrap this up because my son's already pacing. He wants lunch. I want to relax for the rest of the day. I've got more reading and editing work to do. I just hope that you understand a bit more about me now because this shit is getting old. And it's like I said, I'm in this to have fun. And if you're not, then you don't need to be around my crazy ass. I'll see you who want to be around soon.